Okay, let me see where it is. Let me place it now. Where is text 300? The Shankar formula. Let me try it down. Okay, now you are on. This is where it is. Yes. Okay. I'm supposed to start from this, but last session I already came up to 299, so I'll start from 300, and let's see how as much as time permits I'll go beyond the regular schedule. Okay, text 300. Maivam Vadir Maha Adhanatmapeshalaha Gahanishwarya Vigyana Rasaswadanayorasi. No, you should not speak like this. You have presented a formidable argument, but you have revealed your lack of expertise in understanding the Lord's unfathomable opulences and in appreciating the tastes of spiritual relationships. Pariharati. So now he replies to the objection. The objection was posed from the Sri Vaishnava perspective. So don't just speak. The Rupa begins his reply to the Purva-paksha. Purva-paksha means an objection. Mahavadi indicates someone who has much to say but has not thought out his argument with perfect clarity. Our Narayana Bhakta is a sincere Vaishnava, faithful to the authority of the Vedic scriptures, but he's not privy with the confidential understanding of Sri Krishna's glories. So he is not, he doesn't know the various confidential truths pertaining to Lord Krishna's glories and the rare taste of his pure devotional service. In this context, Apeshala means not expert. What is this? Appreciating the tastes of spiritual relationships, rasa aswadanayo, in appreciating the rasa. Now that calls to mind a famous statement. Siddhanta tastva bhedepi Shrisha Krishna Swarupayo Raseno Krishyate Krishna Rupamesha Rasasthiti. According to transcendental realization, there is no difference between the forms of Narayana and Krishna. Yet in Krishna, there is a special transcendental attraction due to the conjugal mellow, and consequently he surpasses Narayana. This is the conclusion of transcendental mellows. So from the perspective of Siddhanta, from the perspective of philosophical conclusions, even though there is no difference between the husband of Lakshmi and Lord Krishna, between the forms of the husband of Lakshmi and Lord Krishna, by rasa, the form of Lord Krishna is superior. This is the perspective of rasa. So, Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhu is pointing out that, see, but you quoted scripture and all that, but you don't understand this particular point about rasa. It is according to rasa that the form of Lord Krishna is superior. But what evidence do we have to prove the supremacy of Krishna and service to him? Rupa answers this question in the next verse. Sarva Vedanta Saram Veda Kalpataroh Phalam Sri Bhagavatamrita Pramanam Sarvato Varam. The best authority in this matter is Srimad Bhagavatam, the distilled essence of the entire Vedanta and the fruit of the Vedic desired tree. Sarva Veda, okay. Badarayana Vedavyasa Vedavyasa was dissatisfied even after editing the entire Vedic corpus and making his personal contributions, the Vedanta Sutras and the Mahabharata. He felt something wanting because he had not explicitly revealed the personality of God and his wonderful pastimes and the methods of approaching him through pure devotion. Only when Sri Vyasa compiled the Bhagavatam on the order of his Guru, Narada, did the pain in his heart subside. Srimad Bhagavatam is the most reliable authority on the identity of the Supreme and on how to realize Him, and it is especially intended for the confused persons of the modern age. Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi Sri Bhagavatam Ishyate Tadrasamrita Triptasya Nanyatra Syadrateh Kvachit. Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. One who has become satisfied from its nectarian mellow will never be attracted to any other literature. Tathahi Sri Tritiye. So then he's going to quote from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Swayam Tvasamya Tishayasthyathisha Swaragya Lakhyapta Samasta Kamam Balim Haradhish Chiralokapalai Kirita Koti Vitapada Pitha. There in the third canto, Lord Sri Krishna has no equal or superior. He is a lord of all kinds of trees. With a supreme and independent opulence, he fulfills all his desires. He is worshipped by the long-lived rulers of the planets who offer him tribute by touching his shoes with their millions of helmets. To answer the Narayana Bhakta's Purva-paksha, Srila Rupa Goswami is going to demonstrate by two main arguments that Krishna is superior even to the husband of goddess Shri. His first argument, given with the authority of the independent voice of Shruti, is that goddess Shri hankered to obtain Krishna's association. His second argument uses inference based on the evidence that Krishna's name is supremely potent. Srila Rupa begins by citing this statement of Uddhava's from Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is as authoritative as the Shrutis, and whatever Sri Uddhava says should be regarded as extremely reliable because he is the best of learned scholars. Atra Shrutirupam Shri Bhagavatiyam Uddhava Vakyamaha. This is as good as a statement from the Shruti, because Uddhava has been described by Krishna himself. No thavon vapi manyuno yad gunair nardita prabhu ato man vayanam lokam grahyan nihatishtatu. Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in this world to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of God. The words tu and swayam, but himself, at the beginning of Uddhava's statement, indicate that Krishna alone is supreme. Tu expresses exclusion. Krishna, with the exclusion of everyone else, Krishna alone. And swayam implies that Krishna has innate opulences that do not depend on anyone else. In other words, Krishna is independent. Because Krishna's position is unique and absolutely independent, no one can be greater than or equal to him, including the Lord of Vaikuntha. Krishna is a master of Gokula, and his other two personal abodes, Mathura and Dwaraka, located in the highest region of the Vaikuntha sky. Uddhava calls Krishna's personal opulence Swarajya, which means that he rules by means of his internal energy. So his Rajya, his governance, is exclusively by his own energies, by his internal energies, or by his supreme and innate qualifications, his own. Krishna thus gratifies his desires. He fulfills his desires without restriction, enjoying wonderful tastes, fragrances, and other pleasures. His opulences are thus supreme and independent. Uddhava mentions that Chiralokapalas, the rulers of distant universes, who come to Krishna bearing gifts of tribute, indicating their obedience to his rule. These are the Brahmas and other demigods who manage these other universes, more expansive and opulent than our own. Who but the original personality of Godhead would have the helmets of many Brahmas from far off universes offered at his feet? Swa Anya Anapeksham. Krishna is not, the form of Krishna is not dependent on any other form of Krishna. Even in a pastime, that's important. Even in a pastime, it is not dependent on any other form of himself. Right earlier in Ladhu Bhagavatamrita, this point was brought out. That form, which is not dependent on any other form, is known as Swayam Rupa. Which form is that? So that form is the Krishna form. Okay, these are the points are already worked out in the commented. Okay, Atrakarika Vidyete Nanya Samyati Shayyau Yatreta Vigrahe Sarvevyastat Surupebhya Krishnotkarsha Nirupana Adhikyam Paramavyopanatha Datyasya Darshita. Karika is explaining this verse. This form of Krishna has no equal or superior among all other forms of Godhead. This shows the superiority to even the Lord of Vaikuntha, allowing the word Anya, other, to extend to the full scope of its meaning. We must conclude that even Lord Narayana does not equal or excel Krishna. This is confirmed by Sri Brahma Samhita. Bolo Kanamne Nijathamne Kalesha Tasya Devi Mahesha Harithama Suteshu Teshu Ete Prabhavanachaya Vikitasha Yena Govindamadi Purusham Tamham Vidami. Below the planet named Goloka Vrindavan are the planets known as Devi Dham, Mahesh Dham, and Hari Dham. These are opulent in different ways. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. Brahma. Okay. This is Brahma's one statement. Swayampadena chasyanairapekshamadiritam. The word Swayam indicates that he does not depend on anyone else. Ramo Vyadhikasam Yabhyam Muktathame Tyavadi Yat Tatra Swayam Padabhavad Krishnenaikyena Tasyatat Naraliladi Sadharnyan Prashtham Rupam Tadasya Yat. It is said that Lord Ramachandra's essential potency cannot be surpassed or even equaled. Considering the absence of the word Swayam, this must refer to his similarities with Krishna. Sharing similar personal qualities, they both have human pastimes. Ramachandra is the most favorite form of Krishna's. Now, in the 9th canto, Lord Ramachandra has also been specified as having no one who is greater than him or equal to him. So then why can't Rama be the original personality of God? Oh, you cannot say that, because in that 9th canto verse which talks about Lord Rama, the word Swayam has not been used. Here is the verse. In the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami glorifies Shri Ram as follows. Nedam Yasho Raghupate Surayatnya Ya Talila Tano Radhika Samya Vimukta Dhamna Raksho Vato Galadhibandhanavastra Gai Kim Tasya Shaktrapanane Kapaya Sahaya. Assuming a transcendental form at the request of the demigods, killing Ravana with showers of arrows and building a bridge over the ocean do not represent the actual glory of the Supreme Personality of God, Lord Ramachandra, whose spiritual body always engages in various transcendental pastimes. Lord Ramachandra's essential potency cannot be surpassed or even equaled, and therefore he is not in need of help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. This statement might seem to indicate that the son of Dasharatha is the Swayamrupa Supreme Godhead. Shirupa rejects this interpretation, however, on the grounds that Shukadeva has not used the word Swayam in describing Lord Ramachandra's supremacy. Why then are Sri Ram's glories described as unexcelled and unequaled? Because Ramachandra is considered not different from Krishna. They both behave like human beings and have very similar bodily appearances and personalities. Therefore, Krishna's personal perfections are also found in Ramachandra. For this reason, also, Brahma addresses Sri Rama in Valmiki's Ramayana as Adikarta Swayam Prabhu, the first creator and original Supreme Lord. Why is Rama considered to be one with Krishna in this context? Because of the human-like pastimes, as well as their appearances, as well as their very swabhava, their characteristics. तथा ही ब्रह्मांडे श्री कृष्ण वाक्यम अंतरंग स्वरूपा में मत्स्य कूर्मादयस त्वमी सर्वात्मनायम नत्रापि श्रीमद् दशरथात्मजः इति. Thus Shri Krishna states in the Brahmanda Purana, my closest expansions are those like Matsya and Kurma, but among them, in every way the closest is the blessed son of Dasharatha. Sarvatmana, by all means, in every way, refers to the characteristics mentioned in the previous verse that make Shri Rama and Shri Krishna similar. Swayam vasamya atishayah Krishnastu bhagavan swayam ityasya paramaishwarya visheshasya varnane padasya swayam ityasya viruddhir bodhayat yasau Krishnasyanya swarupaikhyadatikyam neti sarvatha. In the Bhagavatam, specific descriptions of Krishna's supremacy, who has no equal or superior. And but Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of God. The use of the word Swayam in both verses indicates that Krishna's exalted position is not due to his being identified with some other form of God. Swayam padabhyasat lingadapi Krishnasya swayam rupatve Shri Bhagavatasya taparyam. This is one of the identifying characteristics of the intended meaning of a particular scriptural text, that the word Swayam has been used repeatedly to refer to Krishna, to indicate that he is the original form. Padabhyasascha ekam taparya lingam. Okay, let me just read it out from here and explain. The Bhagavatam drives home the conclusion that Krishna is the Swayam Rupa by repeating the word Swayam several times. This repetition accords with the standard methods of Mimamsa by which scriptural texts are interpreted. There is the Vedanta Sutra. The Vedanta Sutra is technically called Uttara Mimamsa. Later, or you can say phase 2 of Mimamsa. Mimamsa itself means investigation. In this context, it refers to investigating the Vedic texts in order to understand their intended meaning. So the phase 1 of this Mimamsa is called Purva Mimamsa. It is a literature, it is a sutra book given by Vyasadev's disciple Jaimini, in which he explains, he focuses on Karma Kanda actually, but he using Karma Kanda, from Karma Kanda we can understand basic principles of how to understand the intended meaning of the Vedic scriptures. From this we understand how the Vedic scriptures communicate their ideas. In Mimamsa there are different methods. These are standard methods which are presented in order to help us understand how to understand the intended meaning of the Vedic scriptural texts. The repetition of a word is one of the conclusive signs of a composition's main idea. Upakramo upasamhara vabhyaso purvata phalam arthavado papatti cha lingam tatparya nirnaye. To distinguish the purport of a composition, one can look at the beginning and the end and check for repetition, novelty, and indicated consequence, glorification, and logical reasoning. So for any Vedic scripture, if you want to understand, if you are in doubt about a particular theme, for instance, does the Bhagavatam promote ultimately the concept of an impersonal supreme, and that all the various forms are actually ultimately material, ultimately. Is that, this is Shankaracharya's teaching. But is that idea taught by Shukadeva Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam? So then there are these 6 different factors. The beginning and end of a composition, repetition, novelty, something new, and indicated consequence, some glorification of a particular theme and logical reasoning. So based on that, we understand whether that ideology is compatible or not. So same way, different things can be checked. In fact, Sri Jiva Goswami uses these principles to explain different features, certain features of Bhagavatam's teachings as we understand it. Points out this is actually present right in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, when we look at this word Swayam, that is supposed to be repeated. See, a check for repetition is one of the features. We find the word Swayam used in reference to Krishna a number of times in Srimad Bhagavatam. The first canto contains the famous words Krishna Subhavan Swayam. The third canto contains the words beginning Swayam Samya Ati Shaya, cited in text 302. And the 9th canto contains the words beginning Ashtamastu Tayorasi Swayam Meva Harishkila. The 8th son of Vasudeva Devaki was the original Lord Hari himself. Swayam. Thus, Dviruktihi, being mentioned twice here, really means being mentioned more than once. The clear emphasis on Krishna's uniqueness precludes the possibility that scriptures refer to Krishna as Swayam Rupa merely because he resembles Lord Narayana. Krishna's supremacy is altogether independent. Okay. Triyadisha iti Goloka Mathura Dwarka Bhidam Yat Padatritayam Tasya Sodhi Patwadadishvaraha. Prakritisha Viradantar Yami Kshiravdishayinam Trayanam Uparishoyam Triadishe Itiva Smritaha. The Lord of the Trees means that as the Supreme Controller, he presides over his three abodes, namely Goloka, Mathura, and Dwaraka. Scriptures also call him the Lord of Trees because he presides over the three Vishnus, the Lord of material nature, the super soul of the universal form, and the Lord who lies on the milk ocean. Swarajya Lakshmiya Tatrapi Prapti Sarvasami Svenatmana Swayavaatmam Bhutaya Shakti Varyaya Rajati Swaratasya Bhava Swarajya Muchyate. Moreover, by Swarajya Lakshmiya, his supreme and independent opulence, all his ambitions are fulfilled. Or Swarajya can refer to his ability to rule by himself through the agency of his own supreme internal energy. That Swarajya is the same as his Lakshmi, his super excellent opulence. By her potency, he obtains the fulfillment of all his desires, which means that he can achieve the most magnificent objectives. Chiretito chirayushka lokapa padmajadayaha tesham kiretakoti bher mukuttanam shatar mudai idte samstute pada pithe yasyeti vigraha. The word chira, long, refers to the long-lived rulers of planets, lotus-born Brahma and others. Krishna's shoes are worshipped by the crowns of billions of these planetary rulers. Such is the correct analysis of the compound expression Iditapada Pitaha. The compound word Iditapada, it's a Sanskrit compound word, means whose shoes are worshipped. Padapita commonly means footstool, but Srila Rupa Goswami analyzes the compound as Samstute Padapite Yasya, taking the noun Padapite in the dual form, which indicates exactly two items. In his commentary, the Baladev Vidyabhushan explains that this implies Krishna's two shoes. Hiradi Ratna Upatai Padapita Bhikhattana Janitena Swanau Jena Badham Utprekshatastuti, studded with diamonds and other gems. These crowns struck Krishna's shoes, creating a resounding noise that aptly suggests the offering of prayers. Swaswat karmanyavasthitya taiste brahmadiloka pai agya palanamevasya baler haranamuchyate. The expression offering of tribute describes how Brahma and the other rulers of the planets obey Krishna's commands. They do this by remaining fixed in their specific prescribed duties. Athatra prakriya khyata pauranyesha vilikhyate. In this connection, I will now recount a well-known Puranic narration. Brahmandanam anantanam prayonanam vithattanam vrindani bhagavatchatto vichitrani chakasati. By the potency of the personality of Godhead, there exist virtually innumerable universes of many different kinds, each full of variety. Some philosophers insist that there is only one material universe, but they are easily refuted by the evidence of authoritative Puranas. Danam tu Sahasrani Ayutani cha Idrishanam Tatha Tatra Koti Shatani cha. There are thousands, tens of thousands, tens of millions and billions of universes like this one. That's from Vishnu Purana. Dyupataya eva te na yayorantam anantataya twamapi yat antaranda nichaya nanusavarana kha iva rajamsi vanti vayasa sahayat shrutayas Tvaihi phalantyatan nirasanena bhavannithana. Because you have no limits, neither the lords of heaven nor even you yourself can ever find the end of your glories. The countless universes enveloped in their shells are compelled by the wheel of time to wander within you like particles of dust blowing about in the sky. The Shruti is following their method of eliminating whatever is not supreme, become successful by revealing you as that final conclusion. Notice here, there are countless universes. And And here there's a reference to millions and billions of universes. Sankhyanam paramanunam kalena kriyate maya na tatha me vibhutinam srijatondani kotishaha. Even though I, Krishna, can easily count all the atoms of the innumerable universes, I could not count all the opulences I manifest while creating them. So there are innumerable universes here also. Kotishaha and the Andanam tu sahasranam sahasrani yutani cha idrishyanam tatha tatra koti shatani cha. Andanam tu sahasranam Bhagavate. Evam cha ekabrahmandavadinah mayinah nirastaha. So there are some Mayavadis who present this conception. There are some Tattvavadis also who, at least some of them used to think that there is only one universe. But there is clear evidence that there are many, many universes. Billions of universes. Shatakoti pramanani yojananam tu kanichit ajandani virajante shakti vaichit yato hare. By the manifold potencies of Lord Hari. Some of these universes extend 1 billion yojanas in width. Kanichit cha nikhar vena tesham padma yutena cha tat paratha shatena api vistritani tu anichit. Others are 10 billion, 10 trillion, or 10 quadrillion yojanas across. Madhye tesham ajandeshu keshuchit vimshati krata bhuvananam cha panchashat kutrachit saptatis tatha shatam sahasramayutam laksham vachana rajati. Inside some of these universes, 20 planetary systems have been created. Inside others, there are 50, 70, 100, 1,000, 10,000, or even 100,000 planetary systems. Our four-headed Brahma's universe has 14 worlds, but other larger universes have many more. So from all of this, we understand that our universe is not the most important universe, and we are not really the most important creatures. Creature, how else to describe? Brahmadya lokapas teshu nana rupas chakasati paramadhi sahasrena sevyamana samantataha kvachit indradayasteshu mahakalpa shata yushaha mahakalpa pararthayur bhadro brahmadayas tatha. Brahma and the other planetary rulers appear in various forms in these different universes. They are served by thousands of the most excellent opulences. In some of these universes, the demigods led by Indra live for 100 Mahakalpas. And demigods like Brahma live for 100 trillion Mahakalpas. Ete Brahma Sureshadya Kratitash Cherokapa Sutandhri Pitha Krishnoyam Tesham Mukatakotibhihi. It is these Brahmas, Indras, and so on who are called the long-lived rulers of the planets. They offer homage to Krishna's shoes with their millions of crowns. Ekada Dwarakapuryam Sudharmayam Murantake Virajati Tamagatya Dvaratyakshonya Vedayam Dityakshar Devapadavjam Brahmadvareva Tishthate. One day, as the killer of Mura was presiding in the Sudharma hall in Dwaraka city, the doorkeeper came to him and announced, "My lord, Brahma is waiting at the door wishing to see your lotus feet." The purpose of telling this history here is to give evidence that the above statements about many universal rulers worshipping Krishna are not empty claims without reference. As in the expression, Eshavantya Suto Bhati. Here is the barren woman's son. Not like that. Rather, it is like the statement, Udayati Bhanu. Here is the sun that is about to rise. Agatah Katamo Brahma Dwariti Paprichtam Ityachutagiram Shrinvan Etyadvara Jatpah Punah Prishtva Brahmanam Agatya Krishna Grichatam Pravi Agatas Sanakadinam Janakas Chaturanana. Doorman, which Brahma has come? Asking. Hearing Lord Achyuta's words, the doorkeeper went out again, inquired from Brahma. Then he returned to Krishna and told him, it is four-headed Brahma who has come, the father of Sanaka and his brothers. So it is a Brahma with four heads, and he is the father of Chatushkumaras. Anayeti Harervacha Tena Brahma Praveshitaha Pranaman Dandavat Prishta Krishnena Kim Mihagataha Tvam Miti Prahatam Brahma Deva Gamana Karanam Vakshe Paschadyada Thadya Brahma Katama Ityada Yatumichami Tannatha Brahma Nanyosti Mandyadaha. Show him in, said Krishna to the doorkeeper, who then brought Brahma inside. As Brahma bowed down, offering prostrate obeisances, Krishna asked him, why have you come? Brahma answered, Lord, I will tell you presently why I have come. But first I would like to know, O Master, why you asked, which Brahma? Certainly there is no other Brahma than me. Athasmitva mukundena dvaravatya drutam tada smrita brahmanda kotibhyo lokapala samagata ashtavaktra chatushashti vaktra shatamukhas tatha sahasravaktra lakshasya kotivaktra virinchayah rudrasya vimshati mukhas tatha panchashadanana shatavaktra sahasrasya laksha bahu shiro bhrita. Lord Mukunda then smiled. As he remembered the planetary rulers from millions of universes, they all arrived in Dwaraka at once. There were Brahmas with 8 faces, with 64 faces, with 100, 1,000, 100,000 and 10 million. There were Rudras with 20, 50, 100 and 1,000 faces, and others with hundreds of thousands of arms and heads. Purandarasha Lakshaksha Niyutakshas Tatha Pare Apare Lokapalascha Vividhakriti Bhushanam Krishnasya Puratah Prapta Patham Pitham Mavanaman Tan Drishtva Vismaya Tasmin Unmam Mada Chaturmukha. There were Indras with 1,000 eyes and others with 1,000,000. Planetary rulers of other planets with various forms also arrived, wearing diverse kinds of ornaments. Coming before Krishna, they bowed down at his feet. Four-headed Brahma was amazed to see all of them and became enlightened. Kimcha Vishnu Dharmottare Proktam Sarva Brahmanda Mandala Deshato Jivataschapi Tulya Rupa Bhavatyami. By contrast, the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana says that all the universal spheres are of equal size and have similar living beings. So that was one instance about the different universes and the lords of these different universes. That's one description. Then here is another description from Vishnu Dharmottara. The phrase Kimcha usually means moreover, indicating a continuation of the same idea, but here it means the opposite, by contrast. According to Sridhara's dictionary, this usage is also valid. Kimcharam Pisakalye. Kimcha can mark the beginning of a new topic as well as to express inclusion. Inclusion meaning this also, which means moreover. To mark the beginning of a new topic means to say something new. So, by contrast, for instance, the Vishnu Dharmottara asserts that all universes are of a uniform size and that all Brahmas have equal lifespans. Tathahi Ekarupa Sathevanda Sarva Eva Nareshwara Tulya Desha Vibhagascha Tulya Jantava Evacha Iti. Thus, O King, all the universal legs are equal in form. They each contain the same volume of space and are inhabited by comparable creatures. Virodhetra samutpanne samadhanam vidhiyate. We will reconcile this contradiction. Yataha Shri Kaurme Virodho Vakeyor Yatra Na Pramanyam Tadishyati Yatha Viruddhatta Chasya Tatha Artha Kalpyate Tayo Iti. According to Shri Kurma Purana, when two scriptural statements conflict, one should not assume that one or the other lacks authority. Rather, one should seek an elucidation that reconciles the two statements. Okay, first of all, let me give a very simple explanation. This statement of Kurma Purana. We know from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that let me explain this. From the scriptures, we understand that all are impure. This we learn from some Dharma Shastras. We also learn that the stool of a cow is pure. There is an apparent contradiction. Can both of these be true? Because cow is also an animal. So then, if the stool of all animals are impure, then the stool of a cow is also impure. So then it's explained, no, you should not take, in that case, you should not take both of them on face value. So it is understood that the stool of all animals are impure actually means the stool of all animals except a cow are impure. So in this way, we understand that both of them are correct. On what authority do we say this, except a cow? Because there is another scriptural statement which is as valid as this statement. So the first statement is understood to be utsarga. A statement of generality, say a general fact. And the second statement is understood to be exceptional fact. So you have a general statement and you have an exceptional statement. A statement of generality and a statement of exception. This is because you have a larger set. Animals refers to a big circle, and a cow refers to a small circle inside that big circle. Sometimes, when we are talking about a larger group, we are talking about everything that is inside that larger group except that small circle. For instance, we often hear about Dhritarashtra's sons as Kauravas and Pandu's sons as Pandavas. Now, Kaurava literally means descendant of Kuru. Now, Kuru was a forefather of both Dhritarashtra and Pandu. He came even before Shantanu, he came much before. Both Dhritarashtra's sons and Pandava's sons, they are descendants of that king, Kuru. But still, the Pandavas, there are only 5 Pandavas. They were unique. Pandu was a very exceptionally great personality. So they are referred to as sons of Pandu. And the sons of Dhritarashtra, they are referred to as a descendant of Kuru. Because in general, when you talk about descendant of Kuru, you are talking about this large group, the Kauravas. Actually speaking, if you were to draw a circle, descendants of Kuru, then the sons of Pandu is a very small circle inside that big circle. And when you talk about Pandu's sons, you are talking of only that small circle. And when you're talking of the Kauravas, descendants of Kuru, you are talking of everyone who are part of the large circle, but who are not part of that small circle. So this is a standard method to understand the scriptural method of communication. Like this, when there are two different scriptural statements and they conflict, that means the apparent meaning of these two statements appear to conflict. One should not assume that one or the other lacks authority. One should not think that either of them is wrong. Rather, you should try to find out how both of them are correct. In the Brahmana section of the Vedas, we find two injunctions. This is all coming from Urva Mimamsa of Jaimini, phase 1 of scriptural investigation. In the Brahmana section of the Vedas, for Vedas, we find two injunctions. One says that a certain fire sacrifice should be performed after sunrise, and the other says that the same sacrifice should be performed before sunrise. Since both injunctions are spoken by Shruti, the authority of neither can be denied. Some way has to be found to reconcile them. Apparently, contradictory statements found in various Puranas, which sometimes describe the universe as different and sometimes as similar, are all equally authoritative testimony from omniscient sages. The truth of both points of view need to be respected. Some Vaishnava scholars, even if they accept that these two contradictory descriptions can somehow be harmonized satisfactorily, might not accept that in some universes, the Brahmas and other demigods live for many Mahakalpas. They might cite scripture saying that when the worlds are annihilated at the end of each Mahakalpa, all created beings are destroyed. Those who maintain this view will say that long lived simply refers to the fantastic durations of the demigods' lives and serves to highlight the Supreme Lord's glories. Yugapat Sakalandani Jatu Samharate Hari. Indeed, Lord Hari sometimes annihilates all the universes simultaneously. Tatha Shri Vishnu Dharmottare Anantani Tavoktani Yanyandani Mayapura Sarvani Tani Samhridya Samatkalam Jagatpatihi Prakrito Tishtati Tada Saratris Tasya Kirtika Iti. This is stated in the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. These unlimited universes I have described to you are all destroyed simultaneously by the Lord of Universe. He then remains situated in his own nature during a period of time called his night. In this context, Prakriti does not mean material nature, but rather his own nature. So he remains situated in his own nature, Prakrito. And the word especially refers to his perpetual self-satisfaction. According to Dhananjay's dictionary, the three words Swabhava, Prakriti, and Shila can be used as synonyms. So he is reconciling right now. Atha samhritya sarvani punarrandani asasrijan vishammani srijajatu kadachitcha samanyapi. After thus destroying all the universes, he once again creates new ones. Sometimes he makes them dissimilar, and sometimes he makes them similar. Thus, there is no disagreement between the Vishnu Dharmottara and other Puranas on whether the many universes are similar or different. So the point is, sometimes when he creates, he makes them similar, and sometimes he makes them very dissimilar. Some of them are very huge, some of them are very small. So that depends which universe you are talking about. When some sage sees universes which are dissimilar and reports it, that is true. And when Lord Hari creates universes which are of similar size and form and nature and so on, at that time when some other sage sees it and reports it, that is also true. There was one Prabhupada disciple who used to say that your grandmother, when she makes idlis and dosas, doesn't always make it in the same way every day. Could be different. Ityaupoddghatikam rochya prakritam parilikhyate. Having dealt with this side topic, we can now return to our main discussion. The main topic is Krishna's supremacy as the original personality of Godhead. To support the main premise, the author digressed, discussing Krishna's relationship with the multitude of universes and their rulers. The logician Jagadisha defines Upadghata as follows: Chintam Prakriti Siddhyartham Upadghatam Vidurbudha. The wise understand a side topic to be a consideration presented to help establish the main idea. Kimchitatraiva Yanmartya Leelopayikam Swayoga Maya Balam Darshayata Grihitam Vismapanam Swasya Saubhagardhe Param Padam Bhushana Bhushanam Gamiti. Also in the same chapter we find the Lord decided to appear to show the power of his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his original form, just suitable for his pastimes among the human beings. That form amazed even the Lord himself in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus, his Sri Krishna's transcendental body is the treasure of good fortune and the ornament of all ornaments. So this is another statement from Sri Uddhava from the third canto. Okay, that's going to be explained now. Sri Uddhava begins this verse with the word Yat, referring to Krishna's form, Bimbam, of which he had spoken of in the previous verse. Pradarshyatam tapasam avittadrishamranam adayantar radhadyastu sobimbam lokalochanam. Lord Sri Krishna, who manifested his original form before the vision of all on the earth, performed his disappearance by removing that form from the sight of those who could not actually see him due to not having executed the required penance. In this verse, the word Grihitam, accepted, indicates that Krishna decided to exhibit for some time his original form on earth. By doing this, he revealed the influence of his divine enchanting potency, Yogamaya. So, when Bhagavatam says that he accepted a form, it means he manifested a form. And that is through his Yogamaya. So Yogamaya Parakhya Swashakti Asyaha Balam Darshayata Bodhayata Ityartha. There are three potencies. That is the supreme potency, the marginal potency, and the inferior potency, or the material potency. So this is referring to that potency which is known as the supreme potency. Yogamaya refers to that which is referred to as the supreme potency. The form of Krishna is exactly suitable for his pastimes among human beings. If he did not appear human, his loving reciprocations with human beings, which attracted all who witnessed them, would not have come to light. When Krishna restrains his omnipotence and behaves like an ordinary mortal, his activities are supremely enchanting. His omnipotence becomes like a row of attractive mirrors attached to the beautifully painted curtain of his human-like pastimes. Although Krishna is aware of everything that exists and sees all beautiful things, he is still amazed by himself. His form is the prime repository of all opulences. His handsome limbs, rather than being decorated by their ornaments, decorate the ornaments. Bhushana Bhushananga. Atra Karika. Yad bimbam martyalilanam bhavedaupa param. Purva padya sthitam bimbam yad padena anukrishyate. Some karikas, that this form is just suitable for his human pastimes is understood from the word bimbam, form, which is carried over from the previous verse by the word yat, which vividascharya madhurya yaishvaryadi sambhava swasya devadi lilabhyo madhyalila manohara. Because his human pastimes are manifest with all varieties of wonderful sweetness, potency, opulence, and other such treasures, they are more charming than the pastimes he performs among the demigods and other beings. He performs pastimes with demigods, with Lord Brahma's associates, and so on. But his pastimes with human beings, they manifest more of himself. Therefore, that is given importance. Krishna performs the pastimes of Narayana, one of his Vilasa expansions, but his original human-like pastimes are more pleasing to his devotees and himself. Only when the personality of Godhead covers his supreme power with the simple charm of his sweetness can one experience the most exquisite tastes of devotional exchange. Dhvanyate bimba shabdena sadguna valishalinam sakala swaswarupanam moolatvam tasya sarvatha. The word bimba, original form, implies that he is, in all respects, the prime root of every one of his personal identities, who are each endowed with countless transcendental qualities. When an object is reflected, the original form is called bimba, prototype, the original form, and its reflected image is called pratibimba. Krishna is the original bimba of all other forms of God, including the Lord of Vaikuntha. So Krishna's expansions are pratibimbas, they are reflections of himself. Atastadeva nisheshan guna rupaspad pataha vichitra navalilanam ati yogyam udiriyate. Therefore, being the reservoir of all his excellences and forms, only this form of the Lord is said to be completely suitable for his wonderful human pastimes. Swayogamaya chichakti balam tasya samarthata etad darshayata sakshat purvata prakatikratam aho madiya chichakte prabhavam pashyata mrutam divyati divyalokeshu yad gandho pina sambhave tad jaganmohanam rupam yasya vishkratamidrisham swayogamaya yadyasya bhavoyam iti gamyate. His own internal potency, Yogamaya, is his spiritual energy, and her power is her ability to facilitate his directly revealing his original form. Oh, just see the wonderful power of my spiritual energy. Not even a trace of comparison can be found even on the most heavenly of planets. It is by her power that such a universally enchanting form as his has become manifest. We can infer from the phrase, his own Yogamaya, that this is the appearance of the original Supreme. Swayogamaya. Instead of, see, in Sanskrit, there's a certain usage which is reflected in many Indian languages actually. Pitra sahagachati. Take a sentence like that. He goes with, literally, it means he goes with the father. It actually means he goes with his father. That is understood when you are dealing with things which you possess. Usually you don't say his. So if I have to say that I put on my necklace, let us say, it's already my necklace. So I just need to say I put on necklace. From that you understand that I put on my necklace. So there's no need for Sri Uddhava to say that this Krishna is doing this by his Yogamaya. Swa in Sanskrit has the connotation his own Yogamaya. So this is a special point of emphasis. That means he has his own Yogamaya. It's not just the general Yogamaya of all Vishnu Tattvas put together. It's not like that. He points out that Krishna, Krishna has his own. He has his own form, his own Yogamaya, his own planet, his own pastime, his own people, his own devotees within the Vaikuntha universe. Krishna reveals the fullness of his original personality with the help of his Yogamaya. The word Grihitam from the third canto verse being explained here is glossed as Prakatikritam, made visible. The Supreme Lord's personal forms are not guises that he dons for temporary occasions. They are eternal. For any form of the Lord is his Swarupa, essential identity, and is never assumed. Yet they are occasionally made visible in the material world. There are some Vaishnavas, like some Sri Vaishnavas. They think in the spiritual world there is only one Lord Narayana. But in order to attract the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are so restless in Rajoguna and Tamoguna. If Lord Narayana just comes as himself, they won't be attracted. They're immature. So therefore he comes here. And just like actors, act in movies or dramas, the Supreme Lord along with his goddess of fortune, they come to this world and they engage in various activities which are very actually unusual for him intrinsically. But he does this like a drama, like in a dramatic performance, just to attract the conditioned souls. Then they become mature. First they surrender out of attraction, and finally when they become mature, they understand, oh, your real form is that of Narayana, and we serve you in Shantarasa and Dasyarasa. But that's not a fact. The Supreme Lord's incarnations exist in the spiritual world. Each of them has his own domain, and they are having a good time. So Krishna exists as Krishna, Rama exists as Rama, Matsya exists as Matsya, Kurma exists as Kurma. So they all exist in spiritual brilliance and they're shining with great happiness. Okay, let me see if so they are intrinsically his own forms. All of these forms are just manifested in this world. It is not that he comes here and okay, it's like this. Let's say some actor acts in a movie. Okay. The movie may have its own characters, but those characters are only inside the movie. That's all. It's not eternal, not real. Previously, they used to do dramas. I think drama is a much better explanation. Previously, they would do dramas. You had a drama troupe which would do a particular drama. And then they would go to another town and do the same drama. Then they would go to another town and do the same drama. So again and again and again, you see that same drama being performed. So the Sri Vaishnavas and others, they think that the Krishna avatar, Rama avatar, each of them is a particular session, a particular instance of drama. So there's no point in ultimately being too obsessed with those characters. They think like that, but they don't understand that Krishna exists as Krishna and that the drama that Krishna appears to perform here is only a broadcast of the pastimes which are originally going on in the spiritual world. This we will understand. You will give evidence to make us understand this. Yet they are occasionally made visible in the material world. According to the words of the Brahmanda Purana, which the Rupa Goswami will cite in text 396, Anadeyam Aheyam Cha, the personality of God never assumes or gives up his bodily form. Okay, I'll stop with that. Let me see. Yogamaya and Hladani Shakti are both referred to as internal potency. What is the difference between the two? There are different aspects of the internal potency. There is the Samvit, Sandhini, and Hladini aspects of the internal potency. Sometimes, when talking about the internal potency, the discussion is about the Hladini aspect of the internal potency. Sometimes, by internal potency, the discussion is just about the internal potency in general. Yogamaya refers to, in general, Yogamaya refers to internal potency in general. But Hladini Shakti refers to this pleasure-giving potency. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we'll meet next week. If you have any further questions, you can ask in the Telegram group. All right. Thank you very much.